Standing outside the bowling alley, cigarette in hand, I watched as one of the line cooks stepped out for a quick vape break. I knew her name, Chairmane, but we hadn't spoken yet. Still, there was something unspoken between us. She was obviously family, and I knew that meant sooner or later we would get along just fine. For now, I was just the awkward new guy, still adjusting to a new job in a hyper-masculine environment. I had started at the alley just a week before Thanksgiving, and as the winter deepened into a biting December, I found myself wondering how many other queer people had passed through these doors, working the same lanes and the same late nights. At first, I figured I was the only one, but soon I learned the truth. There were a lot of us. Most were servers or bartenders, but Chairmane was the only openly queer cook in the kitchen. And though we hadn't said much to each other, there was already an unspoken agreement among us. We had each other's backs. The alley shut down to the public on Christmas Eve for a massive employee party. Management fed us, gave us gifts, and let us loose with unlimited access to the lanes and arcade. My friend Juice tagged along with me that day, and the sheer number of unfamiliar faces in one place felt overwhelming. But then the managers called everyone together to recognize the 12 employees of the month from the past year, and to announce the employee of the year. When they called Chairmane's name, I felt a jolt of excitement. I barely knew her yet, but I knew she worked her ass off. She deserved it. A few months into the job, I was moved from evening shifts to mornings at the front desk. Most of the other desk workers were students, so my open availability made me an easy choice for the earlier shifts. That also meant I was suddenly working alongside Chairmane every day. One morning, as we stood outside on break, each indulging in our preferred form of nicotine, I finally struck up a conversation. I don't even remember what I said, but whatever it was, it sparked something. From then on, whenever one of us went on break, we checked to see if the other was free. It became our thing, 2 peas in a pod. After a year, I was promoted to birthday manager, which meant handling the kitchen's food service forms, timing everything so the parties ran smoothly. This put me and Chairmane in constant communication. We developed our own shorthand, a rhythm. If I ever missed something, she'd catch it, fix it, and let me know so I could double-check my work. We made a damn good team. But our friendship wasn't just about work. Chairmane had a way of bringing out the kid in me. And as someone who had immigrated from the Philippines, she sometimes missed niche American references. One day I walked into the kitchen and yelled, "What's up, fool?" She blinked at me, utterly bewildered. "Why did you just call me a fool?" I laughed and explained it was a common greeting from the late 90s and early 2000s. From that day forward, she never called me Lucas again. I was simply Fool, a pet name only she was allowed to use. I jokingly referred to her as my work wife, which always cracked up our coworkers. It wasn't that far from the truth. We weren't just colleagues, we confided in each other about our dreams, our pasts, our frustrations. There was a deep trust between us, one we both held on to tightly. Most days, after her shift ended, she'd grab a beer at the bar before heading home. Almost every day, as soon as I clocked out, I'd join her for a few minutes before starting my walk home. It became our little ritual, something steady, something I looked forward to. At some point, her sister Lawrence got a job as a server. They looked like twins, except Lawrence wore glasses. One day, a new guy mistook Lawrence for Chairmane and said hi to her. She didn't respond, not realizing he thought she was her sister. A look of panic spread across his face, like he thought he had just committed some terrible racist blunder by confusing 2 Filipina sisters. I assured him that they were actually sisters, and he looked relieved. But honestly, what were the odds of 2 Asian lesbian sisters working at the same bowling alley? Despite looking alike, their personalities were distinct. I clicked with both of them in different ways. When Lawrence eventually left for a new opportunity in Eugene, I missed her presence. But every time she came back to visit, I'd chase her down just to deliver a huge bear hug. Chairmane, as the older sister, was protective of Lawrence. But they weren't just family, they genuinely liked each other. Their friendship was palpable, and I loved witnessing that bond. During our years working together, Chairmane took 2 trips to Hawaii, a place she deeply connected with. She dreamed of moving there permanently. Everything about it spoke to her, from the culture, to the food, to the ocean breeze. We used to joke about opening a bed and breakfast there, her as the chef, me handling guest relations. A ridiculous fantasy maybe, but if I ever come into money, I'd invest in her food in a heartbeat. She has an artistic vision that translates beautifully onto the plate. For a long time, things felt normal. Sure, we both had our issues with management, but we could vent to each other, share ideas, and find solace in our frustrations. Then, I got fired. I still don't know why. Someone claimed I offended them, and that was that. Chairmane almost left too. She even considered coming to work with me at the hotel I moved to. But the bowling alley took her concerns seriously, made changes, and she decided to stay, to be a part of the progress the place desperately needed. After I left, I opened up online about my experiences at the alley. My truth was too much for some people to handle. A lot of former coworkers cut me out of their lives. I don't hold any resentment, I stand by everything I said, and I felt a sense of freedom since speaking out. But if my words, no matter how much they ruffled feathers, help make that place less toxic, then I'm grateful. The only thing I regret is how my bond with Chairmane seems to have faded. We still text occasionally. She even sent me videos from Hawaii to use in this very film series I'm endlessly dedicated to. But beyond that, it's been quiet. Maybe it's just life pulling us in different directions, but I miss our conversations. I miss our breaks, our banter, our routine. And if I've hurt her in any way, if I've caused her even a fraction of distress, that is what I regret. I hope with my whole heart that Chairmane is a forever friend. The kind where time and distance don't matter, where we can always pick up where we left off. I'd do anything for her, and I hope she knows that. She's more than a former coworker. She's one of my favorite people to ever walk this earth. And no matter what happens, I will always be her fool.